What's up, y'all? Welcome to Forge Master Metal Reviews, the place where you can get the most out of your metal. We want to dedicate this particular episode of Underground Spotlight to Trevor Strnad of the Black Dahlia murder. Rest in peace. We are deeply saddened to hear of his passing because he's been nothing but a beacon of light and a powerhouse of an icon in the metal community. Trevor always supported the underground, reaching back into the depths of the metal scene, only to bring up the bands below to the surface so that the fans could hear them.
We created this series for that exact same reason, and we want to dedicate this episode to you and your spirit. Trevor, rest in power, brother. We're working on another episode in the background with our favorite lyrics from the brilliance of Trevor's mind, so be on the lookout for that episode in the coming weeks. Support the underground. Remember that the first Friday of every month has been Bandcamp Friday. Bookmark the bands that you like, put them on your wish list. You can also follow us on Bandcamp. There's links in the description below. Let's get into them.
First one on my list is Nechachwen, Kanawha Black, released May 13th on Binary Recordings. Nechachwen are one of the best black metal bands that people are not talking about nearly enough. It's been about 7 years since the release of Heart of Akamon, easily one of our favorite black metal records ever. So obviously, we're pretty stoked over here that a new Nechachwen record has hit our ears. Kanawha Black is fierce in execution and explores so many emotional and atmospheric components in the songwriting, from introspective folk acoustic passages to blistering black metal to down-tempo guttural doom. This is an album that is a wild ride through the trials of the ancestral spirits of old. This album is a tight 41 minutes that transports you to the world of Native American folklore and rich stories in history. The highlights of Kanawha Black for me, though, are the guitar work. Masterfully executed, often adding an extra measure to parts or harmonies to make things pop at different moments so that things never really get boring. The production on this record is also fantastic as well, with a little bit more polish than the stripped down and bare sound within Heart of Akamon. An excellent album in their catalog, and if you haven't seen it yet, we interviewed Aaron Carey of the band and about the making of Kanawha Black and some of his favorite records that inspire his playing and songwriting, so check that one out. We give this album 4.3 out of 5 Ancestral Spirits.
Grivo's Omit is a record that was put out at the end of January, and I never got around to talking about it, so here we are. The band's tagline is like Devo, but sad, which is fairly accurate. I would say they're more of a fusion of Joy Division and Failure, the alternative rock group from the 90s, occasionally roping in some goth and stoner elements to establish some heavier moments. There are definitely a couple of standout songs, but overall this record feels a bit formulaic. It's not something you necessarily need to devote your full attention to, so it really makes for great background listening for when you're chilling at home or whatever. So yeah, take that for what it is. When you do finally sit with this album, you'll recognize some highlights that I hope the band continues to lean into as they move forward. Overall, this is a nice chill record to go along with the rest of my chill picks from this year. 4 out of 5 Pythagorean Theorems.
My next pick is Primitive Man, Insurmountable, released May 13th on Relapse Records. Ah, yes, the wonderful world of death sludge. The genre that when Primitive Man first hit the scene, we had no idea, as a metal collective, how much we needed it. Hailing from Denver, Colorado, Primitive Man have hit us over the head with a hefty slab of funeral doom, black metal, and noise. I can't believe this band has been around for 10 years already. Time seriously flies. The first track, Insurmountable, on the EP is over 12 minutes long, and it just completely entrances the listener with the sounds of anguish and torment. Easily one of my favorites on the EP, along with the last track, Cage Intimacy. The last track is all things low, slow, doom and gloom until we get pummeled partway through with some unexpected blast beats. An absolutely killer short release in the catalog that is a little bit over a half an hour, and honestly, it shows that these guys are some of the best in the doom business. 4.2 out of 5 Devoured Death Icons.
Italian trio Notturno have released their epic debut Obsessions April 29th on Hypnotic Dirge Records, one of the best in the underground scene. Their single Falling was released ahead of the full record, and I was captivated by the melodic structure of that track in particular. What most captivated me, however, were the vocals. Holy shit. The vocal performance on this record is haunting, raw, and visceral. It's easily the highlight of this 3-track, 37-minute long record. Musically, this reminds me of Saturnus a little bit, of mixing with early Agalloch. Unlike these bands, however, Notturno fails to capitalize on musical changes. The tension never quite gets resolved in their passages, and much like your average funeral doom band, the songs just kind of meander until they spiral away. It made me feel like there were some missed opportunities that the band really could have capitalized on. I hope they take this criticism with respect, because this is a solid debut from talented musicians. Don't sleep on it if you like blackened funeral doom, a subgenre you don't really see much of. 3.5 out of 5 virgins obsessed with death.
My next pick is Corpus Christi, The Bitter End of Old, released May 13th on Immortal Frost Productions. This is their 9th full length, if you can believe it, and I honestly had no idea about this band until this album graced my ears, with some absolutely fantastic melodic old school black metal. Hailing from Portugal, yes, this surprised me too, The Bitter End of Old is extremely well paced with blistering drums and tremolo black metal riffs. I was extremely surprised with how crazy tight the performances are in the album. Switching time signatures on the fly and everything is still completely locked in. That is not easy to do. The vocals are excellent too, reminding me a lot of Watain at times, so if you like that style and execution, this is definitely for you. An unexpected and unearthly black metal release that checks all the boxes of all things epic and evil. Definitely worth checking out. We give this one 4.1 out of 5 Unholy Visages.
I try to make it a point to actually log into Bandcamp. I have a pretty good page with a big wish list, and you should follow me on Bandcamp if you aren't already. You know, I try to discover bands based on tags and genres and release dates versus scrolling through our promo lists and really seeing what there is to discover. Well, here's a couple bands that you probably have heard of, but didn't realize they were collaborating. That's because their collaboration was a secret, and we love unlocking secrets here on Underground Spotlight. Thou and Mizmor have collaborated to create what very well could be an album of the year contender in Myopia, one of the coolest sludge black metal records of 2022 that was put out back in April in Gilead Media. As always, Thou vocalist Brian Funk puts on a fierce performance. You can always count on that dude to sound like he's in total fucking agony. What I love most about the records are the hopeful sounding melodic structures that are juxtaposed against the barren, suffocating atmosphere that the musicians are constantly pouring down your back. It's fucking intense in the best way. We've been talking about Thou since the channel started, and I don't even mean to, because I don't really consider myself a huge fan, but it looks like that's changing. I think I've been converted. This record gets 4.6 out of 5 faces in the root. If you've got an hour and 15 minutes to devote to one Doom album this year, I think it should be this one.
My last pick here is one of our own, Eden Ray's Corpus Vice, released May 16th, and this is an independent release. One of the most unique, visceral, and intense releases that you will ever hear or see suggested on our Underground Spotlight segment. Corpus Vice is a brutally honest and intense album composed by Eden Ray's. You may recognize Eden as the death metal vocalist for the New England bands Angel Grinder and Scaphism. This is Eden's first solo effort, with her leading the helm on all things composition, intense, harsh, and clean vocals, and her native instrument, cello. My favorite parts about Corpus Vice are honestly the dynamics, the horrifying atmosphere, and how raw and in the room the compositions feel, with all of the instruments from 3 drum sets, cello, flute, vocals, electric guitar and bass, and tons of other supplementary percussion that we're not going to list here. Everything was meticulously crafted, and you can tell, using deliberate pauses and anticipation, playing with low, somber notes, whispering quiet parts, and blistering, angry, harsh parts. Corpus Vice is truly something you've probably never heard before, and if you're looking for something avant-garde, intense, and honestly a beautiful art piece, definitely pick up a copy from our Bandcamp. The link is in the description. I would love to see this performed live because I know it would be a completely different experience. Definitely listen to this with headphones in the dark and enjoy the horrendous dreams you're going to have afterward. Not metal really, but still scary and definitely worth your time, especially for the artsy folks. 4.5 out of 5, Nightmare Cavern.
I listened to this album this morning in preparation to talk about it a little bit, and man, it is just so otherworldly. But it's weird because it's actually a tribute to the planet and like wants to open people's eyes as to, you know, the damage that we're doing to Mother Nature. This is really an artistic album. I would put up there with Tanya Tagaq's latest album, Emma Ruth Rundle, like something that you just want to put on in the background and just be horrified by. It's wild. It's artistic. It's raw. Yeah, check it out.
So that's what we got for our Underground Spotlight series for this May. And once again, rest in power, Trevor Strnad. We love you. You're a massive inspiration. If any of you in the audience are struggling or having a hard time, the link is in the description and number in the description for the suicide hotline. Reach out. Love your friends. We love you. Go with the God's Forge, Master Brethren.
As always,
stick to the Nightmare Caverns on your spelunking trips.
See you guys next time.